What is up, everyone? Happy Friday. You made it to the last Friday in May. Give yourself a little hand, a little pat on the back. How are you doing? Are you exhausted? Do you have more calls on your block after this show? Let us know. Did LinkedIn tell you we were here? Did they let you know we were live? I think I got a notification, but if not, share the show. If you guys are paying attention, you know who I have on with us today. You are all going to want to join us. And right now, let us know, where are you joining us from? I'm in South Florida. I'm filming in Boca Raton, Florida today. Shout out to the one co-work where I have this beautiful studio. But I'm going to bring on our special guest. Do you know who it is? Tag him in the comments if you do. The one, the only, Will Aitken. What's up, Will?
What's up, Lauren? How you doing?
I am phenomenal. It is Friday. It is my favorite day of the week. What about you?
Friday's my least favorite day of the week because I have always got more to do. And that means I've now got 2 days where I know deep down I need to spend time with the kids. So my ADHD brain is going, do more work. But anyway, I will enjoy it nonetheless and be present.
You will have your whole life to work, right? We were just talking before we got on about how it's summer and summer's coming and like, how are parents supposed to work when their kids are out? But the one thing I want to say is if you're a parent watching this, I want to put something in perspective with you right now. You only got so many summers with your kids. How many do you have left? Somebody the other day posted about summering hard. So work hard so that you can summer harder with your family and have those moments and those memories. Because I think I got 12 summers left with my kid and then he's out. And probably those last couple of summers, he's not going to want to spend them with me anyway. So I probably got 10 summers left if we're being honest.
Well put.
Will, where are you joining us from today?
Nova Scotia, Canada. Yeah, East Coast.
East Coast.
Lobsters.
East Coast, lobsters galore?
Other seafoods.
Okay.
That's about all it's known for.
I'm in South Florida. We're doing stone crab season right now. So it's stone crabs. Lots of seafood down here as well.
I'd love to hear it. I do love me some crab whenever I'm down in Florida.
There we go. Well, let's do an intro. I think everybody in my network probably knows who you are. But just in case they don't, Will, tell the world, who is Will Aitken?
Let's not do too many assumptions here, Lauren. My name is Will. So that's the first thing. And then I run my own business. I create content on LinkedIn. I work with a few different brands, a few different clients, and I do sales training sometimes as well. Originally got into sales as a recruiter, which is where some of the bad advice you're probably going to hear on today's show comes from. And then I transitioned over to an account executive role and eventually became my own boss. So that's what I'm doing now.
I love it. I know so many people who went from recruiting to sales, and I went from sales to recruiting, but y'all, recruiting is sales, as will tell you today. I am sure. We do have some sponsors. We have an official gifting sponsor, Sendoso. I see Katie Penner in the chat. You can comment hashtag Sendoso to be entered to win today's prize. I will show you that in a little bit, but comment hashtag Sendoso to be entered to win. And we also got to give a big shout out to Better Leap. If you are a recruiter and you are doing that live, Better Leap is the tool for you. I would love to tell you all about it. All right, Will. We got some people joining us. Oh my God. Hi, Katie Penner. Katie doesn't know who you are. Never seen him before.
Oh, I have some footage from Tampa of her singing some very emo songs that would suggest otherwise.
Katie, so watch out.
Don't test me, Katie. I'll release the footage.
We got Peter. We got Dallas in the house. Bangladesh. What's up, Austin? You're in Canada. We just got an international show today.
Nicole, all the great peoples.
What's up? Aaron's in the house. Andrew's in the house. We got another Canadian in the house. Love it. Love it. Did I find you on Reddit? I think we've both been featured on Reddit. I've been on LinkedIn Lunatics once or twice.
I put myself there because I don't care if it's negative attention. I just need it, just to fuel my ego a little bit. So I've made a post about like, oh my God, look how crazy this guy is. So yeah.
The first time I got on it, I was upset. And then the second time I was like, okay, I made a post about it. It was fine.
Careful. I hear if you talk about the subreddit, they always show up. So
that is true. Nicole says, release the footage. Don't tempt us, Nicole.
I'll link it in the chat afterwards because it's actually already been released.
It'll be released by the end of the show. Y'all, we have some fun topics for you. We are going to talk about 4 fun things today. The first topic we're going to jump into, I think every single person watching today has had one of these, or maybe you've been one of these. But we're going to talk about vetting bad managers. Maybe you've been one of these and you've had a wake up call and you're so much better now because you're reformed. Or maybe you need to listen up because you don't realize you're one of these. And the people on your team are talking about you when you're not paying attention. So, Will, what's the first step in vetting bad managers?
All right. One is this is not very tactical for people to actually go ahead and use, but the vibe. The vibe is real. And if you're getting a vibe, every time I've gone against my vibe check and my gut check, it's always stung me in the long run. So the first thing is vibe. Are you vibing with them? Are they kind of giving you an off feeling? These are not the kind of decisions when you plan to work with someone that you should take lightly. So if you are getting a bad vibe, trust your gut. The other side of things is you got to interview your manager. You got to ask them almost as many questions as they ask you. If you're going for a sales role, this is really important because it just shows good sales skills by showing interest in someone. But in there, you can layer in some questions that are going to help raise any potential red or orange flags, and then you can decide on that based on that. But before you even ask the questions, you got to also set out your own criteria. What do you want from a boss? Are you looking for someone who's going to help you develop? Are you looking for someone who's going to trust you and leave you to your own devices? Are you looking for someone who's going to actively coach you? Do you know you need someone who's going to manage you and teach you? Or do you feel that you're at a point in your career where you can be left to your own devices and really just need someone to report back to every now and again and go, oh, you're good? Cool. I'll leave you to it. So first of all, set out your criteria and then you can decide on what questions you're going to ask them to figure out if they are going to be a good fit for you.
Yes, the vibe check is real. This is not anything that's going to be on paper anywhere that you're going to find in some interview guide. Let's be honest. But the vibe check is real, y'all. It's very much like going on a first date and like getting that like not good hair standing up on the back of your neck. And you're just like, oh, do I even have to sit through the next hour of this? Like, what's going on? No. Okay. When you are in an interview, I've had it where like the first person I interviewed with was great. I was like, oh yeah, it was like me and Will chatting. It was wonderful. They're like, okay, we're going to pass you on to the next round. And we walk to a conference room and I sit across from someone and I'm like, if I had to work for you, I would literally rip my extensions out of my head. I don't think I could sit across from you for more than like 5 minutes. No, thank you. How many times has that happened to you where you've been in an interview, but you knew it was not happening?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would be interested to hear what people in the comments say. I want to hear some horror stories, but like, it's definitely happened, and it's happened more so where I've ignored it and then found out, where I haven't been smart enough to wise up and go, oh, that was something, and then later I'm like, hindsight, oh my gosh, I should have seen this from the very beginning, right? I kind of swept under the rug and said, no, I'm just overthinking it, leave it to it, and then I really found out, you know what I mean? Times it's happened and I've actually avoided it, less so. But that's just getting to know yourself as well, like what you value. And I think that comes with maturity as well. Like when I was 21, I would have worked for anyone. I didn't know any better. Now when I actually bring a lot more to the table, I know that it's going to be a two-way exchange, and therefore I know I'm going to need to work with someone who's not going to make my life miserable.
Do you think I want to touch on that point? Do you think that people who are earlier in their careers or younger, do you think that they should have to work for, say, anyone? Or how do you think that if people are newer in their career, they could understand the things that maybe you and I have gone through already at an earlier state?
I think it's really tough to hear advice that you can't apply, haven't had the chance to apply practically yet. Some of these lessons you do actually have to learn yourself sometimes. And I think it does help you in the long run, making a couple of those mistakes. Like, who's had parents who tell them don't do that silly thing, and then you went ahead and did the silly thing, and you're like, oh, you were right, like they told you, and you could be saying, listen to this right now, but sometimes you just need to find out, and the only way to find out is really putting yourself out there, and then that way you can get a better picture of what you want going forward. I don't think they should have to work for someone horrible, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because it's going to help them make better decisions going forward as well. And it's similar kind of nature. Like, I think there's a lot of things that happen at the beginning of your career that you never have to deal with again, but they're good things to happen so you can help avoid and prevent them in the future as well. So it's okay to make these mistakes. It's okay to have not seen this show and ask these questions of a manager and then found out, because then you won't do it again. And the best lessons come from the mistakes that you've made, not from the mistakes that myself and Lauren have made.
Yes. I personally think that everybody should work for a really shitty manager early in their career. I think that you should, because if you ever want to be in leadership, it's about so much more than shaping someone's career. You really shape people's lives. And I think that working for somebody who shapes your life in a kind of shitty, miserable way will help you realize when you get in that position how important it is to really be a good leader. So I think that you should have to work for a shitty leader.
Yeah, that's a good take. It's a hot one, but yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Hopefully, I wish there was a case where someone could just go for their lives and work for great people who made them amazing. But let's be real, it's not going to happen.
Katie
That's not
agrees.
necessarily a bad thing.
Katie says working for a shitty manager has made me a better manager. Yes, because
Nice.
it makes you realize the actual impact that you're going to have and what people are taking away from it. And I think it also makes some people realize that they don't want to be a leader. And that's okay too. It is 100% okay to be an individual contributor your entire life. You don't have to take that step into leadership. Don't let anybody pressure you and feel like you have to climb this like career ladder. You don't. You can do whatever makes you happy. No, and especially sometimes it's a manager who's pushing you to climb. That could be a bad manager too. Managers should listen to what you want. Everyone should work for a shitty manager in the service industry. Well, did you ever work in the service industry?
Oh, you bet your biscuits I did. I think this is like everyone ever should work in the service industry at least once, because I tell you what, those rude customers, you could tell they've never done anything like it. I think everyone should work in sales, and I think everyone should work as a server, because then they might actually have some respect.
Show some respect.
Show some respect for other people.
Respect on my name, right? Comment if you have ever worked as a server or a bartender or in the service industry, hospitality industry. I'm curious how many people are watching who have actually worked in that industry and are now in some type of sales role. Chris says, when Aitken was my manager, he threatened my dog. What?
Biscuit was looking at me funny.
Chris, now I need to see a picture of Biscuit.
It's ugly. Don't look at
it. Give this man a megaphone. I don't know if we want to do that, Nicole.
No,
it's already loud
they've already. LinkedIn's enough of a megaphone for me.
Many years in service for Nicole. Katie's worked in the service industry. I know so many people who've worked in the service industry. Tom, Carrie worked in retail. Retail is another one, y'all.
Yeah, retail and service.
Michelle was responsible for the first negative Yelp review at a new pizza restaurant. Uh-oh,
what did
Michelle.
you do, Michelle? Tell us more, please. We need to know
who did you piss off?
Whose pizza did you add not enough cheese to?
Former server bartender, I will gladly toss out unruly drunks from the premises. Will you do it now still or only then? That's the question. Worked in the food service industry, now in recruiting. Yeah, recruiting is sales too. I did fast food too. Fast food is funny. So I used to manage a Panera in college. I talk about this a lot on this show. And Paneras have drive-thrus. Y'all, if you're in a drive-thru, hot tip for you. I know this has nothing to do with the show, but here you go. The random things you learn throughout your life and the jobs you have. If you're at the drive-thru and you're ordering and one person is serving you, and then all of a sudden multiple people show up at the window to like help you out in some way, shape, or form, they were talking about you and they all want to come look at you, and something was said about you, and that's why multiple people are now interacting and engaging with you in the drive-thru.
Oh my gosh. You know, so it either means I've said something silly, or they think I might have a sexy accent. Is that what you're saying?
One or the other. I hope you guessed the right way. I think it just depends who's coming to see you. I was 16 working the register and couldn't legally pour the beer, so the poor guy had to wait an extra 90 seconds for me to get my manager. Well, I mean, Michelle, you didn't do something illegal for him. That's definitely a bad Yelp review. Only people who post on Yelp want you to do illegal things.
Yelp reviewers, the whole lot of them, they all need to work in bars.
I think Yelp's a scam too, but that's another conversation for another time.
We're going deep. Let's talk about some of those questions that you can ask your manager, though, to make sure they're not.
Yes. So when you are, one time I was actually in an interview and I asked the manager who was interviewing me a question, right? How you said you interview managers back and forth. And I asked a question and they were like, no, you can ask questions later. And that was a big red flag.
That's a big red flag right there. If they don't give you time to ask questions, that's a red flag on its own.
It was definitely probably a little early in the interview for me to ask my question, but I'm also somebody who I have ADHD brain, and when I have a question, I need to ask my question, and it was relevant. And they definitely were like, nope, you can't ask that right now. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't have time at the end for any questions. And, You can all imagine how well that went.
Bad vibes.
What are
Yeah, if they
questions that
don't.
you ask?
Questions I might ask a manager who I was potentially looking to work for. I want to know like examples. I want to hear examples of how they've managed people in certain situations. I'm not trying to plant landmines on myself, but I'm going to be like, okay, talk to me like when you last hired someone with my kind of background, what did you do to help them, and how did you work with them, and what areas didn't they come through on, and how did you help them get to where you wanted them to be, right? Because that is immediately going to be very telling of how they're going to act with you. If you can try and find an example of someone who was like you, who also joined the company, and how they handled that person. The other side of things, I like to ask people what they do in their personal lives. And if they can't give me many answers, that tells me they're probably a workaholic and they're going to expect the same from me. If they've got nothing but work, and you go like, oh, how you know what your interests, and they haven't got very many outside of like work related things, immediately that tells me they're a workaholic. And often workaholics, I'll tell you myself, they expect similar things from other people, of at least working hours. You know what I mean? So I think that's always a very telling one, and you can often build some rapport in that. And people love talking about what they're interested in as well. So you can't really go wrong with asking a question like that, because you're only going to make them either feel good because they get to talk about something they love, or find out that they are nothing but a manager.
A manager, not a leader. I like to ask people to tell me about the last person they promoted on their team. I think that that's a very telling question. And if they don't have someone that they've recently promoted on their team, I think that that is a red flag, depending on the size of the company and all of those things, right? I get it. Sometimes it's a really small company and there wasn't a room, but who did you promote last and who's doing well? And let's talk about that. Why? I like to hear the manager's take on that because I like to hear how much credit they take for that in the interview.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Find out how much credit they take for it, because yeah, if they're like, yeah, this person came in, they were going from the get-go, they really brought all the energy. We kind of helped steer them a little bit like here, and we helped them in this area, but they really excelled because of this. They're giving that person the kudos in that situation. If they go, well, I took someone and I brought them under my wing and I micromanaged the heck out of them until they did exactly what I wanted, and that's why they were successful, then bang, right there, you already know.
100%. And it's not just the question you ask, guys, it's how you ask the question. So be mindful of how you're asking the questions. You don't want your question to be perceived as negative because people won't give you as much of a response. So try to make sure that the way you're phrasing your questions come off as positive. And if I said, tell me about the last person you promoted, that sounds like an awesome question. Nobody's going to think that there's any kind of negative connotation. I'm smiling at you, but promotion is an exciting thing to talk about. That is not something that anybody's going to put up a guard or a wall or maybe not tell me the true answer. You good?
Yeah, sorry, I thought my wife put on Alexa earlier, and it like plays on the Everywhere group, if you know what I mean. Oh no, I just said Alexa on the Everywhere group. Anyway, and I thought I could hear it going off again, so I just wanted to check it wasn't blasting outside my earphones.
Oh, Alexa's a bad manager, you know.
I'm mean to Alexa. I think everyone is a little bit mean to their smart home devices. I'm like, Alexa, shut up. Like I'm not. Yeah.
Unplugged it. No more of that. My phone listens to me enough. It all listens to us. Okay, don't ask for a to-go bag unless you treated your table server very well. That is true, Tom. Or box your own food. Don't let anybody else box your food for you. A good manager is very important for any industries to lead an employee. Yes, you need a leader, not a manager. There's a big difference. As a graphic designer, I don't know. We can talk about that. We can talk about what's going on with all of that. Send me a DM. Happy to chat and help you out. All right. Topic number 2. When is it time to change jobs? I think you and I have the same opinion on this. But Will, when is it time to change jobs?
When something better's come along. That's okay. There's 3 scenarios, right? I recommend people to leave a job. I rarely recommend someone leave a job without another job lined up, unless they're in a position where they are feeling unsafe or unhealthy working in their current role. So with that in mind, outside of that, when it is time to change jobs is when you can either take a big leap forward in terms of career or pay, and you know that you're not going to be able to get out of this company. I'd also say that when you're unhappy, it's more likely that those things are going to be tempting to you. But something we'll get onto a little bit in a minute is the bullshit tax. And we'll talk about what that is and how that comes into play when you think about changing for a new opportunity. So when is it time to change jobs? If you ever feel unsafe, unhealthy, your health is at risk, those are two opportunities where you can leave a job without one lined up. The other cases are if there's a lot more money on the table, a considerable amount. I ain't changing jobs for 5K. It ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna be worth it. Even if I'm not happy at that job, we don't know if that next job's going to be. We can do all the questions in the world to find out if the manager is going to be bad or not. I want to make sure it's a good enough bump that if there are new problems or other problems that I'm going to encounter that company, I'm going to be okay with it because I've got enough money to be okay. Okay, it's worth it because I'm getting this right. If that trade-off's not enough, then I won't do it. Yeah, those are probably the two times I'd say it's time to change jobs. And I wouldn't. And I know people hate this. I know people, a lot of the recruiters, the hiring managers, they're like, oh, job hoppers. It doesn't matter how long you've been at a job for. If something really good comes along.
You have to. There's no reason to hurt your own career because of the connotation of I left my job too soon. Who cares? Who cares? It's your story, and you have to tell your story appropriately when the time comes. That's what's going to happen when you get to your next interview. It's how you sell yourself and your skills and explain why you went to this new role. But most of us want to make more money, and most people understand leaving for more money. And at the end of the day, if you're honest, and especially I think if you are in a role and you kind of quickly get another opportunity for a decent amount of more money. I've had people ask me this all the time. They're like, Lauren, I took a job, but the job I really wanted called me 3 weeks later and it's considerable more money and I really want to take it. But now I feel bad for the first company. No, be honest and be honest as quick as possible, right? And try to help with that because they invested in you, but be honest sooner than later. Because you're ultimately probably going to make the move. You're ultimately probably going to want to take that new role. And lean into that. And don't be afraid to have hard conversations. Most people will respect you more for having those hard conversations, and you'll actually leave on better terms.
Amen.
Yeah.
I think people are too afraid to job hopping that they've actually missed out on more opportunity as a result of not versus the other way around. Like we said at the start, you've only got 12 summers of your kids left, or you've only got 40 years left in work. What are you going to do? Like, wait another 5 years being underpaid and unhappy potentially and underappreciated? Or are you going to wait a year, get something real good, and put yourself on a really high trajectory, right? So yeah, that's just a piece. I think you know what you're capable of. Sure, if you clearly aren't good at what you're doing, then it's maybe time to hunker down and get better. But if you know you're good and you're going to bring value to whoever you work for and someone's willing to pay you more to do the similar work, heck yeah.
Heck yes. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. More money helps secure more wealth for your family overall. It will help you retire sooner or hit those goals, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So don't ever feel like walking away for more money isn't a good thing. It's a great thing for you. The other thing I've seen, and I've seen this recently, is people walking away to work with prior leaders that they have reported to before. So they've joined a team, they've been there, but maybe they were misled about what kind of quota they could hit, or maybe something wasn't exactly what they were sold in the interview process. And a prior leader got a new position and they're growing this team. And I've actually seen people recently take pay cuts to go back and work for people that they knew they'd be on a good team with the flexibility, with the mentorship. And that's worth it for them. Having those things is worth a lower paycheck. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do think in some cases, like I look back at some of my past, the greatest managers, I'm like, I just wish I could work for them or get being paid what I would get paid now. And if the difference to go back and work for them wasn't huge, then that would be worth it to me because a bad boss can be an expensive headache. You know, like even if you're being paid extra for it, how much is that really worth if your life is miserable as a result, right? So in some cases for sure, but like here's the thing: every time I've changed jobs, my dad's told me not to, and every time he's been wrong. because he's like, no, you've got a safe job right now. You know what you're dealing with and stuff like that. But a few years ago, as little as 3 years ago, I was making 10% what I make now. 10%. And my dad was like, yeah, no, don't leave because you don't know if the new place is going to be secure. It's a sales job. You don't know if the product's going to be any good. But I was like, well, my current product isn't very good. I'm not making very much money. I don't even have a boss because he quit. And I get like one line CEO messages from the CEO. I've been here for 2 years and I'm not getting any better. And then I went and got the other job, started making twice as much as I was making at that previous job. And I got a great boss and I got a good coach. So, like, although I know my dad was coming from a good place when he's like, oh, no, be safe because he's worried about me, he's worried about risks. That was well worth it because that put me on the trajectory that I'm on today. So, I think it's a case of just looking at like, know what you're worth, know what you want, and make a decision based on that.
I think my hot take for this topic is that job hopping is a generational thing, in my opinion. And the older the generation, the more they're going to look down on you for job hopping. But the younger the manager you have, the less they're going to care. It's really going to become more of the norm. And the people who you get in an interview and they're like, okay, so you look like you're a job hopper. Why have you left? That's my red flag right there. You're calling me a job hopper. Where, like, come on, dude. Let's talk about what really happened to get here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a generational thing. And the people who would call me a job hopper, I probably wouldn't want to work for, period.
That's true fact as well. I think that's definitely a generational thing because my dad's worked at the same company for 30 years now. It's his company, but you see that a lot more in the older generations. But if you do that, you're probably going to be underpaid. That's just a fact these days.
You're
because
going to be
companies don't like it, giving you raises. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's not just underpaid. You're not going to have as much PTO as other people, right? Because you probably work for a company that didn't have unlimited PTO. You're probably slowly accruing that. You probably have to wait so long for all of your stocks to be vested. I mean, there's so many things that go into play with this. And I mean, I have other people who are like, well, Lauren, I need to wait 3 more months so that my stocks can be vested and then I can change jobs. I'm like, okay, well, do you know how long that process takes right now? You should start looking now because that 3 months is going to be up and you're not going to have anything lined up, any interviews, anything. So let's go. And that's the other thing I want to say about when it's time to change jobs. It's probably time to look before you think it's time to look. So if a recruiter calls you, I just say always be open. Have the call, have the conversation. The worst thing you can do is give the recruiter a referral to someone else, right? Like, hey, this doesn't work for me, but I know somebody else. That recruiter will probably throw you a referral fee too. So it would win for all of you. And then you kind of have your finger on the pulse of the market. Will talked a minute ago about being underpaid. If you stay at the wrong company for too long, you will be underpaid. At least if you are having conversations with recruiters, you are learning the market value that's out there right now. Will, did you ever find out from a recruiter that you could be making a lot more than you were currently making?
100%. And I told a lot of people when I was a recruiter as well. And they're like, what? Like, I'm not looking. I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, out of curiosity, how much does the pro pay? I'm like, that. And they're like, what? Like, yeah, you're what are you making now? And they're like, underpaid. Obviously, like, that was a different time. Wouldn't be so keen to ask someone how much they're getting paid today. These days, I think there's even laws in place for it. But yeah, if you stay at the same company for a long time, it's just the natural way companies seem to do things. As far as I've tell, they pay their new employees market rate and they don't give their old employees raises or promotions. And if you ask, if you feel like you're being underpaid, then you can ask for one. And if they say no, there's your answer. Go get a new job. And they should expect at that point as well.
Yes, they should. Yes, they should. All right. It is the halfway point. Really quick reminder. You can comment Sindoso to win today's giveaway. It is a Sweeter Cards card with a chocolate bar that tells you how grateful I am that you watched the show. I'm going to let Will take a short break. Will, we'll see you 1 second. And in just a moment, we're going to have High Five Friday with Michelle Craig. Do you know High Five Friday? Have you been here? It's a segment where we shout out all the people you want to celebrate on LinkedIn. So the link will drop in a little bit. You can drop one for next month, but let me get Michelle to take it away 1 second.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. I am over caffeinated and very excited to be here. per usual. So let's jump into our high fives for the day. First off, I want to give a special shout out to my friend and former teammate, Bridget. She's an amazing friend and has been kicking ass as a marketing consultant. She also helped me with a very special project, which will be released eventually, but has really just been an awesome resource. And I'm so proud of you, Bridget. Moving on, the one and only Daniela Hanna has a shout out for Lisa T. Lisa is an owner with Keller Williams in Maui, Kona, and Texas. She always goes the extra mile for her people and takes the time to set them up for success, no matter where they're starting from. She has patience to teach and is very talented in making sure that everyone she works with is ready to go and is always there to lend a helping hand. She's a great leader and sophisticated lady. Many thanks goes out as she creates jobs where there are none. She's a blessing. Mahalo. Next up, we have Joshua Bailey for Karen Bailey. I want to celebrate Karen for all the amazing work she has done editing and directing our team's videos. She's taught herself from scratch and is becoming a top player in the content creation game. It's crazy what skills she has learned in a few short months. Then we have Joe Fontana for Tom Blanco. He's always willing to get on the phone with anyone who's trying to find their next role, and it's appreciated by everyone that he is here to support. Last but not least, Lindsay Dowd for her Hype Squad. It was a super tough week this week for my family as we said goodbye to my father-in-law. My Hype Squad stepped up with so much love and support. Please high five Andrew DeGood, Ricky Pastinelli, Mark Holden, Michelle Pakak, and Doug Skoke. I'm so lucky to have them in my corner and my heart. Sending you all of the love, Lindsay, and amazing to have such a great group supporting you. Thanks, y'all. Don't forget to submit for next week.
Thanks, Michelle. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That's a halfway point. Did you expect all those high fives? We had a high five of a squad. I've never had somebody high five like 5 people at once. I don't have enough hands to do that. It's like the only place you can high five 5 people at once virtually on this show. Get at it. All right. We have 2 more topics. I know you all want to know what the bullshit tax is. I want to know what the bullshit tax is too. Let me see. Will, there's Will.
Hello.
Hello.
High five.
Will, high five to you too. So I always try to like do it this way, but then I go the wrong way.
I got it right. First try.
First try. Listen, maybe you should just do this show every Friday. All right. Topic number 3 today is the bullshit tax. When I was preparing this show today, I was like, or not today, but earlier in the week, I was like, is LinkedIn going to let me have the show if I write the bullshit tax? And I write the bullshit tax and I post it everywhere. And you know what? We're still here and going. So nobody
I
report
think
out.
shit doesn't get you banned on LinkedIn. I know a certain word that will, that I didn't think would. It's a British word for someone who masturbates.
Oh, okay. Well, let's not use that word on LinkedIn.
I'm going to say it.
I don't want to get banned.
I got banned for 2 days because I called Jen Allen Knuth a wanker. And I got taken down for 2 days. I couldn't log in. I was stressing. That's all I have. My 51,785 followers, you know? I thought my life was over.
I'll give you a fun fact about that word later for the fun Friday fact of the day. But we'll talk about the bullshit tax now. Will, the people are watching and they need to know, what is the bullshit tax?
All right. Simply put, the bullshit tax is how much bullshit are you willing to accept for the money, right? So assume that whatever job comes along your way, if you're open to opportunities or you're at a job and a recruiter hit you up, how much are you willing to spend, let's say, not spend, get paid extra for the bullshit? Let's say it's the worst case scenario. You go in and you're working for a narcissist and they're insane and they micromanage you. How much is that worth to you? That is the bullshit tax. So that's the reason why I wouldn't change jobs for less than a certain amount of money. And that certain amount of money is the bullshit tax. Now, I might change jobs, get paid more, and have a better boss. That's always possible. But we also know we might end up taking a new job and deal with a whole bunch more stuff and that we weren't dealing with before. So if you're going to change jobs, knowing that bullshit can be there for sure, and if your current situation isn't that bad, you can live with it, then that's where you need to set the value of your bullshit tax. What are you willing to move for knowing that it could be worse? I took a bad fit opportunity, but it paid a lot more, and therefore it didn't sting as much. If it paid a
Right.
little bit more, I'd be like, I made the biggest mistake of my life. So there you go.
For me, a big part of it is the team I'm joining. How big is the team and how many people are on it? And how many personalities am I going to have to learn how to interact with and communicate with and engage with? And the larger the team, the higher the bullshit tax for me. Because the more people, the more problems, y'all. Just true for me. I want it to be simple. I like recruiting in my own agency right now because there's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of problems.
Just your
But
own problems.
the more people on the team, man, sometimes like I want to go to team building events. Don't get me wrong. I see all of you on all of your your outings and they look so fun. Comsor was just where were they in like Scotland or something?
Yeah, it looked very, very nice. Like a
It
castle.
looks so nice, right? But then at the same time, it's like, oh, that's 14 personalities that I would be with for a week. And oh, I'm sure I would only get along with 10 out of the 14 because that's just life, y'all. We're not meant to get along with everyone in the world. But yeah, the larger the team, the bigger the bullshit tax for me.
Yeah. I mean, teammates I can kind of no, actually, sometimes some people I clash with. It's normally the manager who's the biggest extra bullshit you have to deal with, or their boss, you know?
Or their boss. That's what I was gonna say. Or their boss.
Yeah.
And sometimes the bullshit tax is that you're stepping into a leadership role and you're gonna have to defend a bunch of people from your boss. I've been in that role too, where I walked in and the people below me were wonderful and I love them so much. And then the person above me was literally the worst human I've ever worked for. Should we name them? Maybe. The worst human I've ever worked for. And I had to literally defend them from this human all the time. All the time. And you shouldn't have to do that for your team, y'all. If your team is like scared when your boss is coming, there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
I hear you there. So anyway, my bullshit tax at this stage in my life is a lot higher than it would have been 5 years ago. Your bullshit tax can change. Just set the number of which you will happily be paid extra to be miserable. And you probably won't if you do all the things that we're talking about, asking questions and vetting your opportunities, right? But even if it ends up that way, at least you can sit there and go, well, at least I've got another 40K annually, let's say.
Well, and I was going to say this does kind of come back to vetting your manager, right? Because we're talking about how earlier in your career, you won't really know how to vet a bad manager. And earlier in your career, you're going to put up with a lot more for less because you're just not going to know better. And as Will says, his tax grew over the years because he matured and he went through situations and he learned what he's willing to put up with. But if you're early in your career, you're probably going to put up with some bullshit. I'm sorry. It's just true.
Yeah.
It's
Probably
just
have to work in office as well these days. Jeez.
Yeah, you need to work in an office. And I think most of the people who are watching the show today would tell you you need to go work in hospitality at some point in your life. And then you'll really understand the bullshit tax.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. All right. Next, we're going to discuss lying on your resume. Which,
Okay.
do you know how much this happens? Do you know? Comment yes or no if you've ever. Well, I don't feel like people would be honest. I don't think y'all will even be honest with me in the comments. I don't think I could ask you to tell me if you've lied on your resume because y'all, this is a professional platform and none of y'all want people to know that you did lie on your resume. But I'm a recruiter and it's very simple. Will, how often do people lie on their resume? And why should people lie on their resume? Because I know you have a hot take on this.
For every job I've ever applied to where I needed a resume, my resume has been somewhat embellished. Okay. I work for myself, and frankly I don't ever want to work for someone again because a lot of those bosses that we spoke about earlier, they've hurt me, and I don't want to go back to that. So I just intend to be successfully running my own business for the rest of my life and being someone else's boss. But for every job I've ever needed a resume for, I have lied on it to some extent.
Okay.
I've embellished facts, I have inflated numbers, and it has worked in my favor. Because I'm kind of good at lying.
Because I'm kind of good at lying.
Like
This is the best advice you've ever heard on LinkedIn.
I'm sorry. Like I come here to be honest, and you said no one's going to admit to this. I will. Heck, when I applied for Vidyard, I got headhunted when I went to work at Vidyard. Tyler Lassard hit me up and said, "Can you come work here?" But I had to still go through all the stupid HR processes. You know the ones, right? And they're like, "Oh, we still need your resume for the system." And then they did a freaking background check on my degree and everything. Okay. And what I didn't realize is, even though I didn't need to lie on my resume for that role, my resume still had a lie on it when I'd last applied for a job. So then when it came to, because they hit me up, like I wasn't going to lose the job because my resume wasn't good, because I'd already kind of verbally accepted the role. I just do all the background HR stuff. But then they had to do a background check. And like one of the lies, what was it? Oh, I have an international events management degree. And I changed it to a business management degree because, let's be honest, events management isn't a real degree. And I didn't treat it like a real degree either. I just partied for 3 years, okay, with my mates. I barely showed up to any lectures. I scraped by on every single test. But the point being, I changed to business management, and then I had to go and then they were like, "Oh, we need to see your degree." So then I had to load up my events management degree, scan it in, get a paid license of Adobe Acrobat so I could edit the text on it, and change it to business management degree. And then they contacted my old school. So this is the bad and the good right here, right? I left a lie on there when I didn't even need to. And then they went and contacted my old school because they had to get it from them. And in the end, it didn't matter because events management, business management, it was a marketing.
You had the degree.
I had the skills to do the job. But anyway, for other roles, you know, when I've moved countries a few times. I went from UK to Australia to Canada. No one in Australia is going to be calling anyone in Canada and vice versa. So I was like, okay, it's time for a little bump. It's time for a little bit more embellishment. Yeah, I hit targets at that first sales job where I was calling 300 people a day. Yeah, I smashed it. Yeah, for all 3 of those months, I was 600% to target. All right. So look, lying a little bit has got me places. In fact, I would go a step further. I've lied a lot in interviews as well. Not to the detriment of anyone. I was a good freaking hire. I knew I could do the job. I just knew I didn't have the experience they wanted. So I was like, I remember when I first got into tech sales. So I remember I told you about that job where I was being paid. I got basically 100% pay rise on my base and my commissions by changing one job. And I'd been in that first job for a whole 2 years or so, 2.5 years, I think I'd been there for. And I was being severely underpaid and I wasn't really performing as a sales rep. I wanted to work in tech sales because I knew it was good. And COVID had just happened. So finally, remote work was an option. I live in the butt end of nowhere. If anyone knows where Nova Scotia is, there's really not that many tech companies here. So I finally got a gig, and my manager was, and in the first interview, I was like, tell me about like your team, like what resources, what methodologies you use. Because I Googled that was something you should ask. I saw it on Reddit, I think, that it was an interview question you should ask. And he said, I really like all my reps to have like really strong discovery. And specifically, we go by a lot of the Sandler system. And I love gap selling. So you know what I did? Between interview 1 and interview 2, I went and listened to gap selling twice on 2x speed. And then I just told him, he was like, so walk me through your sales process. I'm like, yeah, so the first thing I do, discovery. It's the most important thing. If there is no impact, there's no pain, there is no sale. And I just repeated back Keenan's words to him because he told me that he likes his team members to read gap selling. Yeah. So I lied. Yeah. I got the job. If I had told him that I didn't do a discovery call because I wasn't doing discovery calls when I was selling media, he wouldn't have hired me. And when he did hire me, guess what? I came onto the team and I was the top performer because I didn't know what I was doing and I listened to every single piece of coaching he had. And I knew I could do the job. It's just I knew that if I was honest about my experience, I wouldn't have got the job. So listen, am I saying go and lie? No. But also yes, if you're good at it. If you're going to lie, be prepared to follow through all the way. It's a case of, are you lying and saying you can do something you can't, or are you lying because you know you can do it and the system's built against you to not succeed if you don't?
Okay, I like that. I like that take. I do think it's hilarious that you took your lie to the extent that you got the pro version of Adobe.
$15.
That is some dedication, man. Yeah.
I've never told anyone.
And it didn't matter at all. It didn't matter at all.
Didn't matter. But
didn't matter. Do you have your actual degree on your LinkedIn now?
Let me check.
I always wonder if you fixed it now.
Yeah, I probably do fix it because I don't care anymore. But because I'm not.
I will tell people, change your job title, right? Change your job title, make it something more appropriate to the jobs you're applying for. I don't necessarily tell people to give themselves a promotion on their resume, but change your job title and make it sound more appropriate. And if you were working for a company that maybe didn't have the ATS that the new company uses, but you know how to use the new company's ATS, put it on your resume that you know how to use it, right? Like those things to me as a recruiter are not lies. But I will say, to Will's extent, if you're going to lie, be ready to go in and talk about your lie, because recruiters can also tell in the first few minutes of a screening call if you are talking out of your ass. Sorry, not sorry, but it is true. And I have definitely gotten 4 or 5 minutes into a call and just stopped taking notes because I knew this was not actual. You were reading notes behind the scenes. Like, you didn't even have your notes memorized. At least have your notes for your lie memorized, y'all.
True. Same thing when I was recruiting developers. Like, I'd be like, okay, the client's looking for this language, and I don't know the first thing about code, right? Especially not back then. They're like, yeah, I have that. I'm like, okay, could you walk me through what does that, for me as an outsider, because I don't know about what does that mean? They could even explain it to me. I'm like, okay, so they don't. You know, that was one of my best ways to test, because everyone's going to say, hey, this role that pays a lot more than your current role, they need this thing. Do you have that? They're going to be like, yeah, I have 10 of those. I have 10 years experience with Python and C++. And I'm like, okay, what do those things mean? And they're like,
yep. I had somebody once show up for an interview. I don't necessarily think they lied on their resume. I think their resume was their information, but they definitely weren't in the United States, and they needed to be in the United States for this role. And their LinkedIn photo was a photo out of like a J. Crew catalog. And it was not remotely close to the person who showed up for the interview. Like
it's the same hair color at least, or
no, completely different nationality of human being. But it was insane to me that, and then I started looking, and there's a number of profiles that like they're literally just J. Crew or whatever the brand is that they're pulling pictures from. Y'all.
Jeez, did a reverse image that. I'll tell you another one I did actually. So one of the frequent lies I did is I stretched how long I worked at certain places because of the job hopping thing. I was a backpacker, you know. I went to Australia because I knew I was going to leave after 2 years. So although I was a recruiter there for I think 13 months, I put 18. You know.
But to your point, you were going to different countries too, where you knew people wouldn't be calling to check.
Yeah, and exactly.
But with your background check, y'all, you can get caught with your background check. And we would hate for you to lose a really good opportunity because you lied on your resume. So this is the disclaimer that we are not telling you to lie on your resume.
Oh, I am. Yeah, lie on it.
No,
sorry.
Lauren,
sorry. No. Don't lie on your resume.
Not telling you to lie on your resume, because if you do have a background check, y'all, they will find out some of that information, and you do have to be able to speak to that. So
the background check is very true. Yeah, and especially especially going for larger companies, anything really, I'd say over 100 employees, there's almost guaranteed to do a background check on you. So
yes, Michelle, this is the realest show out there. Tell your friends. I know. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Golf course with espresso martinis, but I'm in. Let me know when, and I will be there. It's called being resourceful, Will. It's a skill. Put it on your resume. Lying on my resume is being resourceful. We list it in the skills section.
In the skills section, it's a bullet point. Really good at lying on my resume.
Oh my God. I kind of want to do that just to see if people really read the resume, right?
They don't. Come on. Like, I scan it. I glanced at it. The average time I'd probably spend when I used to look at job applicants, at least, I'd be like, nope, no, I can tell very quickly just based on their most recent role if they're going to be, if the hiring manager is going to want their resume and pay me a fee for finding them.
I think I'm going to put a little nugget on my resume or on people's resumes that say, if you read this bullet point, I have to have an interview.
There's a nugget on my LinkedIn profile all the way down the bottom. I used to be a server, as we've discussed earlier, and I put a little discount code in there for anyone who finds it for my online store.
So there you go, y'all. Go search for the little online store discount. I wish I would have brought my hat. I have my hat.
You have your hat?
I don't have it.
It's on display. It's on display. Yeah, it's on display.
Yeah, it's in my office.
Yeah. I'll wear the what salesman one instead. All right.
My kid takes mine a lot. He likes it. He's got a really big head. Yep, there we go. I got that.
Trust me, I'm a saleswoman.
Yes, I have the exact same hat. I wish I was wearing it today.
Continuing to lie.
To be honest, that hat looks great on the golf course. I don't ever like Michelle. What golf course do you go that has espresso martinis on the golf course? I gotta step up my game, y'all. I'm sorry. I know that's got nothing to do with the show, but look, are you still selling those hats on your online store?
I'm not. No, I stopped. I could always add them back on. If anyone wants one, you can always DM me. But it's busy. It was very busy, and honestly, the hats I almost offered too many options. I need to choose one hat and make it a really good hat. You know what I mean?
But maybe you can pick one and we can put it on Sendoso and people could send it to other salespeople and then I could give some away on the show.
Gold. I actually recently created some new merch that I had sent to one of my dear friends. You can have some if you want it. If you want to have
Always. Only if I can wear it on the show.
only if you can wear it on the show. So
Only if
don't tell her that I've sent this to her. I've sent a gift to one of my dear friends. And it is, here it is. Hang on, I'm going to share my screen so you can actually see it. It is an all-over print. And we're going way off here. I'm so sorry for derailing this. Show your screen. Don't show these tips again. Show screen. Window. Entire screen. That one. It is. There you go. It is a hockey jersey, just plastered in photos of my face.
I'm obsessed with this.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And yes, did it cost me $40 to manufacture and send this to someone? Yes, but the look on their face is going to be worth it when it comes.
I need a picture of it when it happens. I can't wait to see it. Oh my gosh. Okay,
Sorry,
y'all. I didn't show you. Let me show you quickly because I guess that's what I make these graphics for. This is the words can't describe how grateful I am that you watched this show today card that will be sent to you. I did tell Will earlier, I'm on a diet, so I'm sending all of you food. So if you watch the show, from now on, we're going to give away lots of food so that I can live vicariously through you and the gifts. Aaron says, come on, man, hockey sweater. You're from Canada.
I ain't from Canada. I just live here. I'm a guest. I don't know the first thing about hockey.
He's a guest. Where are you from originally?
I'm from the UK.
From the UK, but where?
British, innit? Bottle of water near London.
Near London. One day I'll cross the pond. One day. I can't believe I'm this old and I haven't done it yet.
You're doing fine in Florida, trust me.
Doing fine in Florida.
You're gonna be like, it's pretty cold here. It's raining. It's 20 degrees. It's August and it's like 18 degrees Celsius, which is like 65 F.
Oh no, I would not like my life. If it's below 70 degrees, I have a sweater on. But yes, Michelle, we should plan the Friday Live with Lauren retreat somewhere, someday. That would be fun. Okay, it is your last chance. We only have a few minutes left. If you would like to win that fun prize that I just showed you, comment hashtag Sendoso. Some of you tag Sendoso, which I really appreciate, but you will not be entered to win that way. Hashtag has to be in front of Sendoso for you to actually be entered to win. And I need your email address, and you must live in the United States, or you have to send it to someone in the United States. That's it. We have one more part of the show that I love to do. Will, I think we both have one today because you brought up a really random word earlier, so now I have a story too. But can you tell us what's your fun Friday fact of the day? He didn't prepare.
Tell a joke, and it's going to be a sales joke.
Okay.
Instead.
Okay.
What do you call the highest performing sales rep at a funeral home?
What do you call them?
The top earner.
Okay. He's a dad. It's a good dad joke. It's a good dad joke for our fun Friday fact. The top earner. Oh, it's kind of morbid. It's got to be though. I mean,
it's the only sales joke I know. Other than myself, I'm the real sales joke.
Oh, you push. If you're in sales, it is kind of a morbid career some days, let's be honest. But most days, sales is super rewarding, which is also why I love recruiting. I also just love to throw it out to everybody watching. If you're in sales, if you ever thought about recruiting, if you don't know how recruiting works, I'm always happy to jump on a call and chat with you. I didn't know anything about it until somebody talked to me about it. So if you're ever curious, I know a lot of people are like, I just want to understand even how you get paid. Y'all, let's chat. Let me talk to you about it. My fun Friday fact is that really weird British word that Will brought up earlier that I'm not going to say. That one. I got in a lot of trouble in 5th grade for telling somebody what that meant. I thought I was really cool. And I don't even think I told them the appropriate version of what it meant because I was young and dumb. But then they had to call my parents, and that was not fun.
They called your parents a wanker in America? I've never offended anyone over here by calling them a wanker tosser. Whatever.
Oh, no, I definitely got in trouble for
that. I encourage my son to say that word because it's not one of the ones that they would just be, oh, he's so British, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I
he
definitely
also
got
says, have you ever? There's like a YouTube channel that he loves to watch, and there's a song that goes. It's the phonics song. They're like A B B, and then they go phonics, phonics, phonics song. But he was hearing a bollocks song, so he was singing, going, "Dad, why are they saying the bollocks song?" Because they sound phonics and bollocks sound very similar to him. Yeah.
See, look, LinkedIn hates us. Now it's buffering us out so that we don't say the word for
Oh
Nicole.
my gosh, we're being cancelled by LinkedIn. I'm
We're being canceled. Okay, we'll do the giveaway, y'all. We'll do the giveaway. How many people did we have in there? I think we only have like 6 people in there. So y'all have a great chance of winning this card today. Let me share my screen with you. Giveaway tool. On your mark. Get set. Who do you think's gonna win? Go.
Tom.
Aaron. Nicole. I think Nicole's gonna win.
Joanna, do.
Whoop, whoop. All right. I need your email address. Pretty please. I have to have it or I can't send it to you, but I will get this sent over to you today because my Sendoso budget got refilled. I sent out a ton of gifts today. Y'all, one of my favorite things about Sendoso is just getting to click and send out and send and send and send. And then you get the little notifications of addresses have been confirmed and addresses have been confirmed. And you're like, they got it. Yeah. So if you got any of those little emails today, I definitely expect to see you later. Oh, look, my dad's here. Hi, Dad. Thanks. Great show. Glad I talked about getting in trouble in 5th grade.
Wish I hadn't said wanker now. Oh, I said it again.
Yeah, Carrie, sorry. Sometimes LinkedIn loves us. Sometimes they don't. It is what it is. Y'all, this was fun. Will, any final words for the people?
Yeah. Lie on your resume.
Are you going to lie on your resume next time? Let me know. Or don't, if you want to keep it hidden. Because if I was you, I wouldn't be saying it publicly on LinkedIn. I'm not going to say that I lied on my resume. But Will is telling the truth for all of us.
You can tell me.
And yeah, Will will help you lie on your resume if you need advice.
If you need a resume check over, give me a buzz and I'll help you lie on it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all. This was fun.
I'll be your reference as well, just in case they fact check any of the lies, okay? You can list my number.
For which job? For which job? For all the jobs?
Any job. Doesn't matter what qualification. I would tell you them that you are the world's best data scientist.
Can you change your accent for different references?
Yeah. Okay. So I can actually give more than one number. I charge double the fee, but you can either have an American, a Canadian, Australian, or a British boss. And you can have several. You can just list me, my wife's number, my dialer number on arm, and I got you.
All right, y'all. This was so much fun. Well, thank you for joining us, y'all. If you didn't have fun, don't come back. Bye.